Hi, I'm Jason Barkley, and this is Precision Massage and Healing's audiobook, Healing a Nation, Episode 1. These are indeed challenging times. Pre-pandemic, most Americans already suffered from obesity, heavy weight, depression, anxiety, and so on. And then with the pandemic, things only got tougher. But the message that I want to give people is that it's not our fault. It's not our fault that we've been gaining weight. It's not our fault that we've become more and more prone to anger. It's not our fault that that as a society we've become more and more divided. Because it turns out there's a reason underlying it all. And that by focusing on this reason, things won't magically get better overnight, but only then will their betterment become possible. As a brief opening to or hint of this essence, this is an excerpt from our upcoming book, What Massage Therapy Taught Me About Overcoming Stress. As our lives become more and more stressful, we fail to recognize the very strange fact that stress is not so much our reaction to situations and events that we find stressful, but more and more commonly, it's the very thing that leads to them. Kind of a mind twist. Think of it like a student who's so worried about an upcoming test that they can't study, or someone who's so worried and stressed about their weight that they eat their feelings, or someone who's so worried about losing a loved one that they chase them away. The truth is, we've all spent our precious years trying to walk towards our dreams, but have been painfully running into an invisible glass door. Yet instead of paying attention to it and trying to open it like sane people, we keep trying to push forward regardless of it, making little progress as our pain and injuries mount. As time goes on, we only grow more and more angry with ourselves, our loved ones, and the world, while wondering where all of our time went, until we even decide our once lofty dreams were naive in the first place. When the world says it's crazy to dream, I say it's crazy to let the invisible glass door of stress itself dictate what dreams are possible. Tell me what you're willing to do to rise, and I'll tell you what dreams may come. It's a cute little excerpt from our book. And in the next chapter, we will be diving into stress. But a little bit more about me. I'm a cult survivor. I'm a second degree black belt. I'm a small-time best-selling author, micro best-selling author, only for like a few hours. Don't get too excited. And I'm a master healer. In person, I feel like Chuck Norris, if you will, when it comes to healing. If someone comes to me with chronic pain that they've only had for about 5 years, I'm confident I'll be able to take it down 1 or 2 notches within 1 hour. Someone comes to me with fibromyalgia while working with their doctors and other licensed professionals, I'm confident that they won't have it within 4 to 5 months. Not that I alone can do it. It's going to be mostly them with homework and stuff. And we'll get into why very shortly. The journey that I've been through, the very rocky and tough road that's led me to become the healer that I am. My hope is that I can channel what I've learned, grown, and gained into being able to help people at a distance with podcasts and other free informational stuff that I can do. My entire life, I've been a healer. I've been incessant of trying to find solutions ever since I was 3 years old. I considered my crib a challenge. And I pretty much figured out in my mind that if I held onto the edge and jumped high enough, then the physics alone would carry me over and out. It wasn't the safest idea, but it worked. Or I would be incessant and determined to successfully overcome all of my dad's tough challenges to get into the family swimming pool, until he finally gave in and gave me and signed me up for swimming lessons at 3 years old. And that kind of mentality has been with me my entire life. But the truth is, I was never that good of a healer. I've kind of been more of a dilettante, going into many different areas of life, trying to deeply try things out, but not finding passion in it, including filmmaking. At least until I met my wife. And this story is the story that led to who I am today, and how I'm now able to bring you this message that I hope and I believe can help make a difference in your life, can help take the chains off to dreams and goals that you've been trying to go after for a long time now. Back when I was in Los Angeles, maybe 6 years ago, I was in the dating pool. And man, I hated dating. I hate modern dating, all the rules and how it's turned into a red flag first kind of a thing. And one day I met this girl in Starbucks. She was hunched over. Her skin was pale from lack of nutrition. And her voice was very soft. And I remember thinking, you don't need a relationship, you need a hospital. And I wished her well. We went our separate ways. But as we kept talking, she was one of the most loving, supportive, and kindest people I'd ever met. And even more than that, she was able to listen. She was able to act on advice. That alone was 1 in a million. Decided to give her a chance. Fell in love. And we ended up getting engaged weeks later. Well, I had a cold and a runny nose, and I mispronounced her name. She was a veterinarian who was now beginning an specialty internship program in oncology. And unfortunately, she gained a very serious case of fibromyalgia. At that time, it was a chronic level 7 pain. And we went to countless specialists and doctors who all just shrugged their heads and said they had no idea how to help her. And some doctors even said they didn't believe fibromyalgia was a real thing. But in the Western world, if anything is different from normal, you give it a name. That's just how it works. I don't care what you call it, pterodactyl syndrome. But it is a thing. Anything besides normal is a thing. That's just how it works. And it's very frustrating to not only have no answers, but to even have to combat this idea that this thing that's causing my wife to cry herself to sleep every night, where I just stand back and watch helplessly as I hold her in my arms, may not even be a thing. Out of desperation, I joined the Swedish Institute in New York, which is a $40,000 2-year program. Amazing school. The best of the best train there. And to this day, their mechanical perfection defines a majority of my work. They even had an amazing shiatsu program, a very advanced energy work, but I didn't quite get into it enough. And it may have made the difference. But with the mechanical work that I'd learned in the year that I was there, having to transfer, unfortunately, it did nothing for her. And I'd watch in fascination as my wife's muscles would go from stone to Play-Doh, and the second the massage ended, it turned back to stone as if nothing happened. It's quite fascinating, really. And everyone told us that there was no hope. That the best I'd be able to do was just prevent her symptoms from getting worse at the level that it was at. But I wouldn't give up. I joined massage school after massage school in the search of trying to find answers. And 1,500 hours later, I finally had learned enough to make a difference. Out of desperation, I added Reiki energy work that I used to dislike with such a passion that I refused to once go to a school that taught it. And interestingly enough, the same massages that I did from New York that did nothing previously, all of a sudden lasted for 3 weeks. And it was a personal eureka moment with me and my wife, because it meant then that there was hope. And I continued to improve my craft. I continued to research modalities, and I continued to do the full wellness approach that I did with her. And 3 months later, she was pain-free. 2 months after that, she became a better runner than I am, and still is to this day, though that's honestly a low bar. I've always been more into weightlifting, which is not really that much of a health thing, and only lately I've been getting more and more into running. And quick advice for anyone who's running and you get sore knees or joints: if you pat your joints, you can help increase their strength. As a quick explanation of how that works, your muscles and bones appear to be opposite, but they're very much the same. As you exercise and do healthy amounts of weightlifting, not necessarily for muscle building, but just for structural integrity, so on, or really any kind of weightlifting, it's going to make both your muscles stronger and the attachment sites to your bones and your bones themselves. Your muscles and bones get stronger as you work out, but your bones take longer. And when you stop moving, which is very destructive, unfortunately, and getting back into motion can be its own challenging thing, not only does your muscle atrophy, but your bones will as well in their own way. And when you strike a muscle, like give it like a good little tap, it causes those muscles to fire. And therefore, when you lightly tap your joints, it helps to create that same firing mechanism. So, and again, everything that we say in our podcast and online, we ask you to use your own best judgment. Nothing that we say is to be construed as advice. But it works. It's one of the only things that can work for joints. And more often than not, when you feel pain in your joint, it's usually because, if you feel pain like here, you can usually follow a line, and that muscle will be tight. But then general joint pain, the only way that I know of to help it is lightly banging it, especially including your knees, and a bucket of rice for your hands to help prevent carpal tunnel. But that's down the line. So back to the love story. It was truly an amazing moment when we had basically overcame all the odds, and where everyone had told us that there was no hope and that we should give up, that we found that actually that progress was possible, that overcoming it was possible. And back in those days, my wife had a really hard time saying positive things to herself. So I would do affirmations for her. And in that tradition, in our company, when we have a client come in, we ask them, what are 3 things they wish was more true? Then we add that into the beginning of the massage with the same positive energy work that helped make a difference for my wife. And thus, this company is literally our best ability to bottle that love story that helped save my wife's life, which I think back then the estimate was a potential 10-year lifespan with that of chronic pain of that high of a scale. That we've basically tried to bottle that love story into being able to help every client that walks into our doors, and hopefully now to everyone that will give us a listen. So thank you very much for checking out this podcast and giving it a listen. And more than anything, you have to know that there is hope. You can overcome your stress. You can achieve your mental and physical dreams, and as a society collectively, we can get back onto the path of peace, understanding, communication, which will then lead to a healing of the insane division that's gone on. And I'll have other videos and stuff where I try to help shed light on different things that we struggle with from an independent point of view. But for now, this is your time. This is your podcast. And we hope you enjoy the ride. And if you ever have any feedback, questions, insights, disagreements, anything, feel more than welcome to write in. Again, the only reason we're as strong as we are is because of all the feedback that we've gotten, because of the most difficult client that we've had, which used to be the light, and all the clients that have given their own insights and help through the time. So thank you very much, and let's get to the next episode.